We do have a quorum. I did a roll call, and we do have a quorum today of Lisa Rollins, David Toth, Walter Durack, and Amanda Loud. I was going over the financial matters as per and reviewing the past minutes of the September meeting, noting that the balance at the Wells Fargo account is $97,850.14, of which is a cash balance of $12,409.33. And the Meredith Village Savings Bank checking has a balance of $2,921.47. I also noted that going forward, we have about a $7,500 roofing bill that we will pay, as well as our plans to fill the oil tank before the end of the year. And I noted that I possibly putting as much as 10,000 of that 12 or even 12,000 into the checking account at Meredith Village, simply to pay bills, because it certainly wouldn't be there that long. There's the minutes. I will share those again, going through. Please, if at any time, Scribners, you want to discuss anything I said, just interrupt. That's nothing set in stone. The final sprinkler head was indeed and finally installed. I showed up at the 24th of September and they had the wrong head. Oh, we finally got it right. I just sent, as I CC'd everyone, an email to Chief Heath to get the occupancy load write-off and the final review on that exit sprinkler system, so that we're finished with that project. And I paid the bill it was like $2,700, I think, to Swan Lake Plumbing. We looked at the screws from the sprinkler. When on the 24th, when the man came out, both to check the air in the sink in the bathroom, as well as having the wrong head for the sprinkler system, and couldn't finish that project. He did look at those screws. One of them he was able to sink in, to the other one he could not. However, I've noticed that there's some chairs and whatnot in front of it protrudes about 1/16 of an inch. And it is not in a hallway, in my opinion, that is used by the public. And it could not, nothing else could happen. So I did talk to Sarah about it. Sarah looked at it and felt that she could cover it with something so that it wouldn't be a safety hazard.
Thank you.
How is the sink doing now in the bathroom? Are you having the air problems anymore in it?
It's a little bit, but not as much as it was. It's not like it's not a complete shower like you were getting before.
Okay, yeah, he did bleed air out of it. It may, I know that you are using the sink. It's not as though it's sitting there for months on end like it happened in any unused plumbing. Yeah. I think it just may, it may take 6 months, of just constantly using to get it. But if it does get any worse, please let me know. We can have Swan Plumbing come out again and see what we can do about it.
Yeah. And did we decide not to take the door off at this particular point in time, or?
At this time, yeah, Sarah and I talked about this at the library. Right. There is that I call it the stupid door, because my gosh, I think it's probably the greatest safety hazard in that library. And because the library at this time is not open to the public, and we all want to save on heat because, ain't nobody got any money. We decided that keeping the door there would help save on heat, and that when the library is open to the public and the second floor is in use with that meeting room, not a problem. Walter and I can get there. It's a matter of minutes to take down that door. It's not going to be the lengthy project that the sprinkler system was, for example. That's going in and just taking the door down. It's not going to be a big deal. So we're going to leave it up for now as a way to conserve heat and oil usage. And whenever you want it down, all you have to do is send an email, say take down that door, and we'll be there. So
very good.
Okay, the Supra Safe has been installed. And I did buy the service plan for $199 through Pemmy Fuels. We're going to have our furnace cleaned on October 29th, Thursday, October 29th. I plan to send an email again to Craig about putting a whistle in either the vent or the pipe. There's not a whistle for filling the fuel tank. I'm not going to send one until probably about the 15th because his brother did pass away recently, and we're, give him some time, to come back to work. And I'll give him the choice of, if he feels that it's something that we should just ask Pemmy Fuels to do, I will certainly call them. So the long and short of this conversation is that the plan is to fill the oil tank. I don't know how much that's going to be because I'm not quite sure how much is in it, but the idea is to have that oil tank filled by December 31st. By November 10th, really. I mean, things are going to start getting cold. We do have some oil in the tank. It's not as though it's a dry tank. So that I know that Lisa has set the thermostat to keep the building comfortable when the librarians are there working. And
Well,
to keep
it's on more of an even keel now than it was before. Before it was set to come up, and then when the building was unoccupied, it was set very low.
right.
So you had this big temperature fluctuation, and now it's more on a even keel of, within a 5-degree range, but it's still comfortable enough for now when the building is occupied.
Yeah.
Oh, and if it's cold, then you can go over and push it up a
Sure.
couple degrees.
Yeah, swing in the temperatures back and forth. I know from my personal experience speaking with my oil company, Eastern, they have dissuaded people from doing that, saying that it's not going to save you money. And so, as I told Lisa when I was in one day and she was, programming the thermostat, I said, it's very clear that we are all in this together with this library, and we all know that we have no money and we are all on the same page, and we are all trying to conserve and do the best we can. So, you are the ones that have to be in the building, and you understand, our constraints. So go for it.
This is a great improvement, I think, over, that the temperature in the building has always been such an issue. So
yeah,
it's so nice to have this.
Well, we're all in it together, Alice, and we're not the ones in the building. We Scribners are not the ones in the building. You guys are. So you guys need to control the temperature. But at the same time, you all are very much aware that, it's not a lot to spend. So be careful. So I don't think we have to worry about you, guys going bananas, as I get my point.
I did have a question about the service plan.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yearly?
It is.
Okay.
It's an option, so, and I do know that the library trustees have in their budget heating oil, which would begin for the next year.
Right.
This service plan is $199. As you see, it includes a cleaning and a 20% discount on parts and labor. So you're almost, I think a furnace cleaning was $150.
Right.
I asked what it was. So I know I do it with my own, and I've already had them out twice this year working on my furnace, and it hasn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's money well spent.
We'll add that to our future costs.
Right. Yeah, I think you should. I know that the furnace was last cleaned in 19, so things are going well with the furnace. That has not been, what do I want to say? That hasn't been overlooked, so we're all set with that.
Great.
And then we had the draft proposal, which is where we're going to be at now. So does anyone have any revisions to make to the minutes? Okay, so not hearing anything. I'm sorry, David, did you say something?
I said no.
Okay, so I will now make a motion that we approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I didn't ask for discussion, but I think we already had our discussion, so I think we're set. All opposed? Oh, I have to do a roll call because we're on Zoom. Get it straight someday. I'll probably get it straight when we're off Zoom. So doing roll call, Walter Durack.
Aye.
Lisa Rollins.
Yes, aye.
David Toth.
Aye.
And Amanda Loud also votes in the affirmative. So our minutes from September 17th have been passed. Now going on to the our meeting with the Board of Selectmen. And let me get that up. What I'm going to put up next is our joint statement. I can. Okay, let me find it. I have to open it up first on my desktop for it to find it. Here it is. And I've put it on one piece of paper, which I think, and listen, these are all my opinions. As I always say, I teach middle school. You cannot hurt my feelings. So if you want to change something, disagree with what I said, how come I see it here, but not, let me close that screen share again. It's not happy. There's the agenda, but that's not what we want to be sharing. It didn't see it, I think, because I put it up after the share was open. There it is. So if you don't agree with what I said, for heaven's sakes, you just have to say, I don't agree with what you said, and let's talk about it. So I have them on one page, which I think is nice for the sharing. You know, we're talking about now is what we Scribners are going to put together for our paperwork to go to the BOS. I suggest that if the library trustees have any paperwork that they want to send, that they send their files themselves. We Scribners will be sending our file, and we'll send it out probably either tonight or tomorrow morning. I'll send it to Charlie, and I'll send it to the members of the Board of Selectmen. They like to get their paperwork nicely and in advance, and I don't blame them, you know. So in the packet, I think, of course, will be our proposal. I'd like to have it on one page because it's very straightforward and easy to find and see the response that the library trustees have made. I know that at all the Board of Selectmen meetings I've been at since becoming a trustee of the trust fund, that the BOS has continually stated that they want to see us working together and have a joint proposal before them, which I think is what we have presented. I think the next thing we need to talk about jointly with the library trustees is how do we want to go? How do we want to run our dog and pony show on the 19th, as they say? It's the proposal technically is from the Scribners. The Scribners are the ones that are asking that we be dissolved. The Scribners are the one that are asking that the Board of Selectmen refer everything to legal as to dissolve the trust, or at least to have a probate court ruling on what do we do now that we are clearly spending principal. So that being the case, my idea is that the Scribners put forth their argument on why we want to be dissolved. And we will need a spokesman. I have a couple of ideas for that and how to handle that, but I do want to hear my Scribners' ideas if they disagree. Okay, so please don't let me rule this, because that's not what my intention is. But I think it would work better. Of course, we have someone speak. Looking at the board, I think, you know, Lisa, you're an excellent speaker, but you also work at the library. And while that is legally not a problem, I don't want any perception that people might think it could be.
Absolutely.
So we want you there, but in the background, I think.
Absolutely. I agree.
Okay. Dave Toth, again, your presentations have been absolutely outstanding, particularly as regards the investment policy. And I have always appreciated your extreme keen judgment on matters. However, your lovely Fran is on the Board of Selectmen. And I think that it might be best also if your keen observations and insight is again, perhaps more in the background. That does not mean that I don't think you should say anything if you have something cogent to say, because you are certainly full of excellent ideas. But I'm just trying
to. Oh, no, I agree with you.
Point out some things. Okay, yeah, so that now leaves Walter and I. And this was my idea. My idea was, since I've been the one, since I held up my giant placard on February 1st about the trust depleting, and I've also been at the front of the BOS on 2 occasions submitting questions about the depletion of the trust, asking them to send this to legal back in 2019. You know, what are we going to do if and when? And well, here it is. So I think that it would be a good idea if I did the opening comments, which is nothing more really than reading this proposal from the Scribners, and then citing, and I think in our packet that should go to the BOS, there is, and I'll see if I can pull that up as well. Give me a half a sec. There's that long email, and it's long because it's a combination. I made a combination of 2 emails back and forth with Tom Donovan he's the Attorney General's office. And let's see, where is it? That's the proposal, Scribner spending method. And I cut and pasted, here it is, here it is. Is this the big long one? This is the big long one. And let me see if I can get that share up for you. And I would put this in with in our paperwork that we send. This is him answering a few questions that I've had on different, let me try to answer your questions. I don't think it's necessary to put my original email with it. It may be too confusing. The Scribner Trust is a trust created by the will of Emma Scribner. I think the answers offer the clarity that we're seeking. It was accepted by the town, not created by the town, and the trust can only be amended or terminated through a petition filed with the probate court. It may make sense for the Scribner Trust to be terminated. We're happy to discuss how, And then number 2, the trust funds are to be used to maintain the building and park. Theoretically, the funds could be turned over to the library trustees as part of a court petition. Does the library take care of the park now? If not, we likely would not be in favor of permitting the $90,000 of the Scribner Fund to be spent down, since that's contrary to the intent. And then the third one has to do about me with still being pretty upset about the stipends. I would still leave that in there. I don't think that that's a problem. Then I put in red just to distinguish. I did this all so that it is in time order, you know, it's so, because, you know, you usually have to read emails up, you know, bottom up to figure out what's going on. Thank you. I think you've misunderstood my questions, which is what I wrote back to him. And of course he didn't. I just didn't understand him. Can't the town just dissolve this, et cetera, et cetera? And then he says no. And then of course, what's very important is that the town may not dissolve the Scribner trustees. It all has to go to probate court. He's just saying it over and over again that the BOS has got to send this to probate court. And then at the end, I say, pardon me for my misunderstanding. I understand your words. So to dissolve the Scribner board, we also need to go to court, which is what we needed to do to dissolve the trust, correct? And he says, correct, Tom. So I would put this in our paperwork to the BOS so they can read through that and see this history that we have had talking to the Attorney General's office about how to go about things. And then the second one I would also put in is this other letter from the Attorney General, which they have already received. I sent this in a packet to them back in, I don't know, I think maybe July or something, as one of the first shots over the bow saying this thing is coming. And I highlighted in yellow, this has to do with the principal. This has to do with the RSA that we're asking for, and a little bit more details on exactly how to get the trust dissolved, that the BOS needs to ask legal to do this. It also does have the concern that the principal includes the original dollar amount plus its appreciation, which is a pretty clear indication that we probably, the Scribners have been spending principal since at least 2000. I don't think that that's off the ball to surmise. So those were the 2 documents that I think we should put in as Scribners for our paperwork going forward, as well as a copy of Emma's will and the warrant article, which they received back in, I think, again, July, when I made my first shot over the bow about this thing depleting and concern about it this year. And I think a current, or I should say current in the sense of the September statement from Wells Fargo should also be included. I think that would be wise. Does anybody have anything else thinking that we should put in for our paperwork to go forward? It's so quiet. If anybody's talking, you're muted.
Maybe some of the things that need to be done.
Well,
that's part of this deferred maintenance. I don't know.
now, see, I think that's a very interesting point. When we do the roof, and this is my opinion, when we get the roof done, we will have in effect done the deferred maintenance that was most critical to the moment, that we saw coming in, you know, that would make that addressed life safety issues. Now, having said that, we're coming to a point as this, you know, comes to a head very quickly a week from tonight. Where do we want our purview to lie, or what is our argument going forward? Our argument going forward is that we are spending principal. Now, I think that we are also trying to move the maintenance and the care of the building to the library trustees. That's our purpose, you know. So I wonder, library trustees, if that's something that you want to begin to address, you know, or do you want us to continue forward saying this, and this needs to be, because we want to be gone.
I think at this point, for this particular purpose, this meeting coming up, I would suggest that we stick with just the issue with the trustees and the trust and the dissolution of those. Adding a list of maintenance items is going to muddy the waters at this point. That's off topic, I think, at this point.
I agree, Mardine. You know, our real thrust of the meeting, and that's an excellent segue into something else that I want to put out for all of us here. The thrust of the meeting on the 19th is to have the Board of Selectmen, because they are the only ones with the power, to have the Board of Selectmen send this to court, to legal. We don't have that ability. Are you all on a screen share? What are you all looking at?
I see a list of your drive.
A list of my drive. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's a scary thing. Let's get that off. The thrust of the meeting is to ask the Board of Selectmen the Scribners are petitioning the Board of Selectmen to send to legal our request to have the trust dissolved, as well as the board, because we are spending principal, which is contrary to Emma Scribner's will. Now, what I think once we say that, you know, and here we are, and it's a big moment. Like I said, I sent the first shots over the bow, I think in July. I sent the first shots over the bow February 1st, 2019. Everyone is going to have an opinion of what they want to see happen with this. And that's great. We all have, you know, our plans, but we don't get a say in this, you know, and that's something we're going to have to, I feel, probably remind, you know, the many at the meeting, is that you can want this, that, and the other to happen, but the only thing we have the power to do, and we don't have the power, the Board of Selectmen has the power to do, is to ask the lawyer to begin, as Tom Donovan said in his letter, to draw up, you know, what can happen and get that approved with the Attorney General's office and send it to probate court. We can't make any great decisions on how this is going to come out. And we are running a risk. I think it is an extremely small risk, because Tom Donovan has stated that he would probably be, and those were his words, probably be in agreement of dissolving everything. But, you know, we run the risk of the thing becoming a park. Because that's what her will says. And we are governed legally, you know, we're going to be governed by what that will says. And however, we can pray things, because things are not the way they used to be in 1936. And we've had a lot of success with that. You know, the Blake Fund, for example, was prayed. So at any rate, I just want to throw that out there, that I think there can be a lot lawyering going on in the room that none of us have the qualifications to be doing. And I would certainly, try to stop that. Now, so going back to my original thing about how we're going to present the Dog and Pony Show, I think, I would read our proposal, the Scribner proposal, and I would reference the emails from Attorney Donovan at the AG's office, and then just say, we're now asking you as the Board of Selectmen, please to send this to legal. Now, my guess is, and it's only a guess, that at that point in time, the BOS may have some questions about the value of the trust and how it's invested. And Walter, at that point, I would like you to be the one to answer those questions. Does that sound good with everybody? Lisa and Dave, does that sound like?
Yes, Walter's been the one that's been involved with.
Yeah. So I really don't foresee us having to, really answer a whole lot of questions. And I don't foresee us Scribners or we Scribners having to do much after the BOS says, okay, we're going to send this to legal, because we may need to provide some financial statements, the lawyer may ask for, which is not a problem. But I think, I've probably talked 4 times longer right now than I would on the 19th. And then after that, any questions that they ask, then once, the Board of Selectmen's kind of done with the Scribner, then I would say, Mardine and Alice and David rule that it would be, your turn to, I'm sure there might be some kind of question even from the BOS saying, well, how does the library feel about this? And that's going to be, our cue to sit back and just watch. Because, and I think, as I said in our meeting, when I was at your meeting on Friday, that I think the bulk of the discussion from then on out will probably be between the BOS and the library trustees, because Scribners can provide some copies of tax returns. We can provide some, statements that show this is what we've got. But after that, we're kind of done.
Right. And I think there won't be much for us to say other than we agree, we're in favor of the dissolving of the trust and our opinions about what, if any, money is left should happen. But I think, then it's we have to get answers from them. We have to get answers from legal.
We do.
Before we go anywhere else.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's going to be something that probably should have happened 20 years ago, because I think that's how long it's been, at least how long it's been eating principle. But we'll all have ideas and excitement, but we can't do anything. I think it's going to be a pretty short meeting. I think the BOS has been thinking that this is going to be the only thing on the agenda, and it's going to be for so long. And I think we're going to be done in like 15 minutes.
I get the sense that the BOS is really well aware of what the situation is. And so when you present it, you're really just reminding them of what we've already said and why we've already said it. And you're right, it should be as brief as possible. I don't think they have a lot of questions at this point. I think they'll have more questions once it goes to the lawyer and the lawyer comes back and says, well, this is how we go forward. And at that time, they may ask the Board of Select and the library trustees what they would like to propose in the way of, in the way they would like to see the funds distributed, so, or handled. So, and you're right, that's not for us to say.
Right. Yeah. And that I think is going to be one of the hardest. I mean, it may be absolutely not even an issue, but I just foresee that as being the most difficult thing for us to wrap our minds around, is that we don't have a say in it.
Yeah. I got the sense from reading Tom's emails to you that the AG's office would be amenable to doing what the town would like them to do, as long as it is within keeping with the original will.
Right. Yeah.
Amanda, I've got a couple things. You mentioned when you were talking about what should be included in the packet, you mentioned the will and the warrant article as having been given to the select board previously. I would
Yes.
make sure that is included in
Oh, yes, I
this whole
will.
packet.
Yeah,
Yes.
it has been. I'm going to give it to him
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the Tom Donovan's letters have also been given to them.
Yes.
I'm going to give it to him
I
again.
keep it all together.
Oh, yeah.
Um, One other thing, there is an error in your paragraph
Oh,
that
okay.
should be fixed.
Oh, that,
Let's see, the sentence that starts the New Hampshire Superior Court reaffirmed this 1970 court decision in 1998. It
Okay.
actually should read
Okay.
that the superior,
let me pull it up. I'm going to do
okay.
it. Fix it. Okay, let me pull. Okay, here we go.
Okay, it should say something like this. The New Hampshire Superior Court decision in 1970 was reaffirmed by the Charitable Trust Division in 1998.
Okay, the New Hampshire Superior
Court decision of 1970 was reaffirmed in 1998 by the Charitable Trust Unit. Or so you had something, if you need to, let's see, New Hampshire Superior Court decision of 1970, which, David, could you help me with words, which agreed that which I'm trying to think of, which agreed that the library, which ruled that the library could be in the building, something like that. And then comma, was reaffirmed there. Okay.
It met the definition of a community space.
Yes, it did. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Well, the court rules, but the decision does not. So you need a different word, which stated.
Which, yes, stated that the library, yes. Okay.
Okay,
Good.
and so I will put that in our packet as well. I'll put that New Hampshire Superior Court ruling in as well, which they have seen.
I like the way Walter worded that. Instead of could be in the building. What did you say, Walter?
It stated that the library, I'm looking for words.
Met the requirements of the will or something?
Yeah, met the definition of a community
Yes.
space.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, that's much better. Of a community center or community space.
I think it was community center.
I think it was community center.
Yeah. You type like I do.
I type like lightning, but I'm all being recorded. I'm just like, oh my gosh, give me a break. Okay. Okay, so the New Hampshire Superior Court decision, which stated the library met the definition of community center, was reaffirmed and by the Charitable Trust Unit.
Yeah.
There you go.
That sounds great.
Mhm.
That sounds much better.
And I will stick that New Hampshire Superior Court ruling also in our packet, which
Excellent.
they have seen. You know, like I said, they got a bunch. I think it was in June maybe even. I sent the shot over the bow pretty early.
I'm wondering what Emma would think about her will being such a document of contention in this town for 80 some years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I would imagine she had no intention of it being that.
Right.
No, I'm sure she didn't.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm. And that's one thing, you know, David Toth did an excellent job putting for the Board of Selectmen of just talking about how going forward the BOS accepts gifts and keeps track of gifts. And as the library trustees has talked about trying to keep the Emma Scribner Trust open somehow so people could in the future contribute to it is really an excellent idea. You know, you get so many little tiny trusts that none of them do any good. And people can give, you know, $1,000 or, you know, honestly, even 5,000 isn't that much money anymore. But if they could put it into a bigger corpus, it could just, you know, pardon the pun, but you get a much bigger bang for your buck that way. And so I think that's another, you know, really excellent idea going forward. And we've learned with the house, you know, of course, laws were different in the 30s, but anyway, very good. Anything else? Yes.
I had a question. It sounds like this fund, when you've done the roof and whatever else you have planned, will be on the order of $90,000, something like that. Is that correct?
No. By the time we spend stuff that we've got out, we're probably pulling it down about 80. Oh, it's at
About
97.
80.
It's at 97, so probably about 85.
85,000 is what you expect to be left.
Right, but as
next year.
I said, January 1st. But as I said, David, that's principal. And it's probably principal when the thing was worth, 250,000, it was probably principal. It could have been principal. Walter did some quick math and thought, it could have been principal $500,000, it never reached that, but had it been, it was always underinvested, and more important, it was incredibly overspent. And, it's like our wheels are not, on thin tread, we're on rim,
Okay.
and so,
on that question of what the principal should be,
yeah.
who actually is going to decide that? Is that a
The
question
legal.
for the court?
Legal,
What?
probably legal, and it could also be the court. My guess, not being a lawyer, but again, as I said at your meeting on Friday night, I asked my personal investment advisor, financial planner, what is, I gave him the paperwork. I said, could you just tell me what the principal should be? And he said, you need to ask a lawyer. So when this stuff goes, as we're sending, asking it to be sent off, there must be formulae that they use. I can't imagine that there isn't. I don't know who's going to decide what the principal is. I don't know if it's going to be, legal, if it's going to be legal presenting something to the judge who agrees or disagrees. I don't know. I think that if I were a betting woman, and I'm someone who's never even bought a lottery ticket, but if I were a betting woman, I would not be holding my breath to get any money. I would be hoping that when the judge rules, and I would say, this might be 6 months out or something, that when the judge rules, that the trust might still be intact, but not able to be, spent for maybe 25, 30 years until it's built up to a point where the court, I'm making an awful lot of assumptions, and I'm doing what I don't want any of us to be doing on October 19th. But you could assume that there could be some kind of formula given by the court that when the trust hits this amount, that at that point principal will have been restored and you could begin spending income. I don't know.
Or they could just dissolve the entire trust and say, we're giving this money to the library trustees to be put in a capital reserve account, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
There's no,
like that. Yeah.
we have no idea what they would do.
No idea.
Well, isn't one of the options they could just say, well, the mistakes of the past can't be corrected.
Right.
So 90,000, whatever you have is now the principal. So,
but keep in mind that as Tom Donovan pointed out in his email to me, that money is for both the care of the building and the park. And he used that term park for the lawn, for the grounds. And that, and the fact that beginning this year, we were able to get DPW to take care of the grounds has already shown that there is the town is maintaining that. That actually takes some of the burden off of that, as far as having to make sure that there's money to maintain the grounds as well. That could, my point is if, and again, I'm doing everything that we don't want to do on the 19th, that if there is somehow a ruling that trust must maintain building and grounds, and that there's 70,000 left in it by that time or however much, I would get the number 90 out of your head pretty quick, David, on that, and think much lower. That if it's also having to maintain the park in addition to the building, that would give the library as a building much less funding. Do you see what I'm saying? It would split it.
Right, yeah.
So the fact that the town is maintaining the grounds is in the favor of the library as a building, if there is anything, and I mean, don't hold your breath. I mean, I guess that's the best thing I think I can say to anybody is I wouldn't hold your breath. I mean, if you do, you get it, Merry Christmas. But if you don't, you know, nobody's going to be too surprised.
Well, my presumption is the library trustees would not only be in charge of the building, but also of the grounds.
I
And-
agree.
Right.
But
Yeah,
it has been as we speak, the town is maintaining that, and that is taking a financial burden off the trust.
Well,
So
that's true. Yes, I
Mhm.
do understand that. Yes.
going forward,
But,
if the town were to continue to maintain it, it would take a financial burden off the library trustees.
mhm.
So at any rate, but again, we just did everything that none of us should do it all on the 19th because we don't know. I mean, it's just hot air. We have all we can ask for on the 19th is for the BOS to send this to legal and have a lawyer begin drawing up the paperwork to get this done.
Mhm.
And the reason being, there ain't no money. There's no trust to be a trustee of. So we need
Well,
to do
there is
something about it.
money.
It's
Just
not
can't use it.
fungible. It's not fungible. Yes. Okay. So do we have anything else now going forward with the our meeting on the 19th with the Board of Selectmen that we want to discuss jointly?
Mhm.
No,
Everybody pretty happy with how things stand?
very good. Yep. It's a long time coming. This is great.
Mhm.
Oh, isn't it? I can remember, I've known Sarah, hang on to your hat, about 25 years. And I can remember when she got the position as a librarian at Ashland and her talking about what was going on with the building. And I remember thinking, that is just so weird. And it's kind of funny that 25 years later, here we are and we're stopping the weirdness. We're going to try to stop the insanity. Because we just don't have a trust to be trustees of anymore. It's not going to be able to support the building. Okay, so nothing else then to discuss. Library, you know, you're free to stay if you would like, or you're free to go. We're going to go on with our meeting. We have just a very few items that we need to cover as Scribners, and then we'll be done.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
See you next Monday, if not before.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, so going forward, we need a formal vote for a slight renaming and moving of the Scribner Trust. As we've discovered, Walter is renaming it to align it more closely with its original name and intent. And we need so Lisa, get your pen and pencil ready. Here we go.
I'm scribbling on the Scribners.
Okay. We are going to this is a motion to rename the trust fund at Vanguard Investments. And I will forward this email to you, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
What does the UW stand for, Walter?
Under will.
Under will. Okay, I'm just gonna, let me hit this. I just forwarded to Lisa. So she's got the wording. So this is a motion to rename the trust fund at Vanguard Investments to UW Town of Ashland - Emma Scribner Memorial Trust. And that is a renaming from, as it currently stands, as the Town of Ashland - Scribner Fund. So do we have a second on that motion? Somebody needs to second this, folks. So we can go forward.
I will second that.
Thank you, Walter. Do we have any discussion?
And
Yes,
I will
Can you tell me again what it's called?
At
It's
least I just
rename the trust fund
Yep.
I
at
sent you
the
an email.
Vanguard
I
from
sent you-
the,
So actually,
That's got it all on it.
I will answer Lisa's question
Thank you.
as part of the discussion. You're welcome. So the email that Lisa that Amanda sent you will give you the full name of
Okay.
the trust fund.
all right, that's
What
fine.
we're asking, right? So the reason for this name change is part of the move or the transfer of assets from Wells Fargo Advisors to Vanguard Investments. At Wells Fargo Advisors, the trust account is known as Town of Ashland Scribner Fund. Vanguard Investments and I jointly came up with the name UW Town of Ashland Emmer Scribner Memorial Trust. They noted it as being under will with the UW, and then I asked for the Emmer Scribner Memorial Trust because that more closely matched what was in her will and then the warrant article that followed her will. The reason we have to vote on the name change is because Meredith Village Savings Bank needs to apply a medallion signature guarantee on our signatures as trustees on the transfer of assets form to move the money physically from Wells Fargo Advisors to Vanguard Investments. It's like a notary's signature, but what's different from a notary's is that a medallion signature guarantee has an insurance policy behind it. So that means if something happens, the bank is financially obligated to fulfill whatever debts are accrued. For their insurance company to give their nod of approval to the bank to apply their medallion, they're asking for us to show in writing that we moved on, voted, and approved of the name change for clarity.
Right, that would all have to be part of the minutes, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I didn't, know that when I named the trust, and it's like, well, this is an opportunity to make it clear exactly what it is. And the bank said that they were happy to put the medallion signatures guarantees on that Vanguard asked for. And then they said, well, we need to know exactly why you're changing the name, even though it's a very slight change.
okay, so is there any more discussion on this? Okay, so we're now going to take a vote to make this name change. I have to do this by roll call. Dave Toth.
Aye.
Walter Durack.
Aye.
Lisa Rollins.
Aye.
And Amanda Loud also votes in the affirmative. So now we have voted to change it. So now here's our situation. As we know, we will have draft minutes and then we make the minute approval. I don't want this to wait until November. I would like us to try to have a meeting. And Lisa, you do not have to have all the minutes ready for this. You just need to have the draft. You can split the minutes in 2 sections if you want, and just have this portion of the minutes of us being present and making this proposal to change the name. And then I would like us to have like a 5-minute meeting, like Thursday or Friday. Give me time to get it posted. And all we're going to do is go on and approve these minutes and then get off. And then we need to get signatures on them. Walter needs the approved minutes signed. And I would say that getting my signature and Walter's signature is probably going to be the easiest. Then we need either both or either or, you and Lisa, Dave, you and Lisa to sign as well. We need to have at least 3 signatures on it for a quorum. So having said that, the first obstacle, can you all meet sometime Thursday or Friday for 5 minutes? And if so, when?
I could be available after 5. From 2 to 5, I'm at the library.
Oh, okay. On what day?
Thursday.
2 to 5 at the library. Okay. So if we did this at like 5:15, would that work on Thursday?
That's fine with me.
Does that work?
That's fine with me.
Okay, I'm 5:15, and that's good because I need to get out the door and be somewhere at 6. So that ensures that it will be very quick. And I will post this tomorrow, and because we have to have it posted, and we're just going to approve just the minutes that talk about moving it. And then Lisa, if when you write this up, please, if you could have like signature lines or something on it, and because it just has to be to move the money, and we all approve it. Or how does it need to be, Walter? What do you want it to say? You guys, it needs to be minutes stating
they need to be minutes.
Date
Right.
of the
And
meeting.
and we
was
need to
present.
And then we just need to sign them.
Okay, so maybe we don't necessarily need signature lines, do we?
I mean, It's
It's
just
nice.
makes it look nicer. Yeah.
Makes
I was gonna say, I'll just try to make it look decent.
Perfect,
Right.
perfect. But just don't feel that you have to have all the minutes done. We just need to have this in the minutes.
Well, we
And-
don't have that, we don't have that much so far, so.
Well, okay. I mean, well, that's true. You know, I mean, we really don't. And then anyway, so we'll Zoom on Thursday at 5:15. And then once those are approved, Lisa, if you could just, again, email it to me and Patsy, and I'll print it off and I'll sign it. And then what do you want me to do? You want me to take it to town hall on Friday? How does that work with everybody?
That's fine.
Okay. I will take him to town hall and I'll try to get him there by 9 o'clock. Okay. And then I ask everyone to sign the minutes. And then the sooner they're signed, the sooner Walter can start getting stuff moved.
So
Right.
we have to go to town hall to sign it?
Would that work for you, Lisa? I'm just thinking it would be there in an envelope at the counter.
Yep.
Okay.
So we do that
So-
on Friday.
Yeah, I'll have him there by 9 o'clock.
I also think that the minutes should reflect that we are reaffirming our motion of our June 8th meeting that authorized me to establish a trust fund at Vanguard Investments and to move the money from Wells Fargo to Vanguard. So it's clear to the bank, and our signatures will be on that single document. And I can include the June 8th minutes as an attachment.
That would be a good idea.
Yep.
That would be a good idea.
I was looking at my email just now that I had sent everyone after I had spoken with Megan from the bank.
That's a good idea. Okay, so we're gonna get that done. Next, that's all I got. Anything else?
I don't have a super problem with it. I do think that the wording is a little odd. The opening wording of it has come to our attention.
Oh, you're talking about that. Okay, hold on. Let me get it. Yeah, not a problem. Let's look at this again. Hold on.
It's not real bothersome, but it's
Okay, we can change it.
to me, it just sounds like an odd way to start a proposal.
Okay.
I don't know. And I don't know. And I don't have an answer. That's why I was reluctant to say anything, because I didn't have an answer as to what to say, of how to begin it.
Okay, Dave, Toth, any ideas?
Can you put it back up on the?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, I mean, no, that's why we're here. That's not a problem.
It just, and I'm not an English major or anything like that. It just.
That's why we have Dave.
Far from it. It just sounds odd to start a thing with, it has come to the attention of the Scribner Board of Trustees that the Scribner is not, I think there could be, it seems kind of cumbersome.
Yeah, I think you can just say the Scribner Board of Trustees has determined that the Scribner Trust is no longer solvent and will not be able to support the building.
That sounds a little more
Direct.
it sounded a little weak before, I guess.
The Scribner Board of Trustees has determined that they doesn't like that the Scribner Trust is
You
no
don't need
longer
that in
solvent.
there.
Has determined the Scribner Trust is no longer solvent and will not be able to support the Scribner building. Nice.
There you go. That's much better. That
Okay,
sounds
here-
better to me. I don't know about what other people think.
I agree. Let's
I
listen to the
agree.
whole thing now, since we got it up here. Over the years, the use of the Scribner building has become dedicated to that of the library. The New Hampshire Superior Court decision of 1970, which stated that the library met the definition of a community center, was reaffirmed in 1998 by the Charitable Trust Unit.
Okay, stop.
Is it unit or division?
It's unit.
Unit.
Yeah, it's unit. I would take out both of the that's.
The New Hampshire Superior
Over
Court
the years, the use of the Scribner building has become dedicated to the use of the library. I don't know.
dedicated the use of
And
the-
then down below, New Hampshire Superior Court 19, which stated the library, not that the library, just stated the library.
Okay. Let's go back. Over the years, the use of the Scribner building has become dedicated to that of the library. Over the years, the use.
You could just say it's become dedicated to the library.
Or the Ashland Town Library,
Right.
to the Ashland Town Library.
Yeah.
Dedicated to the Ashland Town Library.
I like that. Okay. Over the years, the use of the Scribner building has become dedicated to the Ashland Town Library. The New Hampshire Superior Court decision in 1970, which stated the library met the definition of a community center, was reaffirmed in 1998 by the Charitable Trust Unit. After consulting the Ashland Library Board of Trustees and the Attorney General's Office, the Scribner trustees believe it is in the best interest of the town of Ashland to dissolve the Scribner Board and the trust. We now petition the Board of Selectmen to ask the town's legal counsel to begin this process in probate court. The Scribner Board is willing to pay up to $10,000 legal fees this action may incur. It is the desire of the Scribner Board of Trustees to turn the management of the building and grounds of the library over to the Ashland Town Library Board of Trustees. We also ask that any funds remaining in the Scribner Trust be turned over to the Ashland Town Library Board of Trustees, whether this be a cash outlay or the management of any remaining trust funds.
Again, I'd take out the that. We also ask any remaining funds.
Okay, there you go. Now, this is just, and again, this isn't for our decision to make. I'm just pointing out that we Scribners are asking everything to be turned over to the library, including the money. The library, on the other hand, is asking that the trustees of the trust fund continue to manage any funds that might be left. Yeah. We assume that the town trustees will continue to manage the investment of the funds as they do with all town trust funds, but the library trustees would make decisions on how the funds will be spent to support the building and grounds. So, you know, but again, this is not our decision to make. And I know that at the meeting, I went to the library trustees meeting on Friday. I was the only Scribner available. And I did say, you know, if this is just Amanda Loud talking, you know, not as a Scribner, but, you know, I based on the history that the trustees have had, I wouldn't let anybody touch those funds. I would be the only one that could, you know, write a check and hold on to them, but they did not feel comfortable with that going forward with the future, you know, that they felt that that the funds would be in better hands. And I think that there is a valid argument there if they were invested by the trustees. So the trust funds where all other town funds are invested, you know, that was sensical too. You know, I couldn't say that it made no sense, but that was just me speaking.
Amanda?
Amanda,
Yeah.
how about inserting after all town, put charitable trust funds? We
Is
need
this
to
an hours? I'm not going to edit the libraries.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. You're
Edit
correct.
the libraries.
You're
Just
correct.
edit this.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I would just suggest everybody get in the habit of referring to these as charitable trusts.
Well, anything else?
I have nothing. I'm the amount that we are willing to pay for legal fees may be a sticking point with the BOS.
Okay, I don't know. You know, I was thinking about this myself. I don't know. Do we want to keep that line in or not? My reasoning for putting it in was to offer, I mean, legal work isn't free. And I was trying to offer, you know, help on that. We have no money to spend. Of course, we're going to fill an oil tank. We don't have any money to spend. We're going to fix a roof. We don't have any money to spend. You know, what are we supposed to do? And we've got the integrity of the building at stake. You know, we got to heat the building. I mean, it's not like we're putting down new carpeting.
So how about a suggestion?
Yeah.
Instead of putting a fixed amount of 10,000, up to 10,000, I kind of like the vagary of reasonable legal fees. It doesn't hang you to a number.
How about instead of saying willing to pay, is willing to
Share.
reasonable share any fees?
I'd take out the any. Dave, I heard you trying to.
What do you think, Dave?
I think that's good.
Because I don't want this. I'd hate to see a good proposal. Well, I mean, there's a risk in any time you're involving other boards and lawyers, and
Right.
I wouldn't want to see something that was well-meaning die because it becomes an argument about who's going to share.
Yeah, the cost of I would just guess the cost of the legal fee should come out of the trust fund, but the board has an arrangement with Walter that may cover this.
I highly doubt it.
I do too, but it might.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
No, this is a specialty topic. This isn't
Right.
It is.
the ordinary business of a town.
Yeah.
But we can kind of. I don't want to say that we could play dumb about this when we go before the board. We know that it's not in the scope, or we're being told that it's not in the scope of Mitchell Group's
Right.
contracted service. But we probably don't want to walk in there. Excuse the dog. Presuming that.
Right.
Right.
I think that, should the Board of Selectmen say something about how much this is going to cost, I think that there's two arguments. The first is, well, there's really no choice because it's depleted. So now we have to do this. And then secondly, we can point out that it's not as though there's another party fighting this that would increase the legal fees. No one is opposed to this. No, we're not the defendant or something in some kind of litigation case. This is just fees to process paperwork before a judge.
Right. So, I mean, you might even just take that whole sentence out.
That's true. And if the Board of Selectmen want to talk about where they're going to get the money to do this, then we can start talking about it.
Right.
I also think I'd take the very last sentence where you just deleted. We now petition the Board of Selectmen to ask the town's legal counsel to begin this process in probate court. Well, I don't know. No, I was going to say maybe put that all at the end, but no, I see what you've done. Okay. So it is a desire. I was thinking to put it all at the end of the rest of it, because that's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, okay. I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
You sure?
No, not really. I'm okay with that. Cut it out, Walter. Don't make me come down there.
Okay.
No, I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'll put together either tonight or tomorrow. I'm getting hungry, so probably tomorrow, the packet, and I'm going to send it to Charlie and to each individual member of the Board of Selectmen, and I will CC you guys on it too, so you see what's in it. If you open up that packet and go, oh my gosh, Amanda, we really ought to have this in there too, we still have time to send that on to them because it'll be a week before the meeting, which is good. So keep that in mind too. If you look at all of this stuff and you think, gosh, if we only had that document, fine, let me know, I'll send it on.
Amanda, remember we have a new board member who doesn't have any of this information.
I was going to say, he's not up to speed, is he?
No, not,
Well, I think though that, as we said in our meeting, Kathleen, you guys, especially you and Fran and Eli, who were on the board in 19 when I was coming and talking about this stuff, are pretty well apprised of the matter. And Alan is as well, because I think it was June or July, I sent a big packet of all of this to talk about, I think, just getting the lawn care. I think that was the issue that I was trying to get resolved. That would have been July. So we're going to resend that, is my point that I was going to make, Kathleen, again.
No, I just wanted to make sure you had Andy's email.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he comes up on my computer as part of the Board of Selectmen.
Good.
Yeah, I should. I mean, I'm going to check. I can check that right now, but he should. That's a really good point to make. Yep, got him. We're all good. Okay. Well then, very good. Wow, what a neat, I think this is kind of exciting. I'm really looking forward to the 19th, because I just was breathing fire for so long, and it's just so nice to see something really positive coming forward. I think it's going to be great. Okay.
Amanda, can I make a comment?
Yes.
I would really like the document, the PowerPoint that Dave presented.
Oh, yes. I had that on my list to talk about.
I did speak to Amanda about that. I think it would be an excellent document to add as an adjunct to the town's investment policy. The document
That PowerPoint, Dave, that you gave before the Board of Selectmen on our trustee, the investment policy of the trustees of the trust fund.
Right.
If you could send that to me, Kathleen would
I
like.
think Eli already has a copy of it.
Oh, he does. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Because you presented it. So I would say then maybe on the 19th, after the Scribner is done on the agenda, perhaps I could butt my way in quickly with my trustee of the trust funds hat on and say, we trustees of the trust fund would like the Board of Selectmen to what would be the term, Kathleen? Append?
I said an adjunct to.
As an adjunct, yeah, and
town investment policy.
Yeah, to the town to bundle it somehow so that it's on record together. Yeah,
because the town investment policy really doesn't say very much.
Well, it doesn't, because it only really governs CRFs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to have this in a binder somewhere that can be referenced.
Well, the PowerPoint would be digital. However, I do have a copy of the town investment policy as a written statement that we have sent to the Attorney General's office.
Remember that we have people who still will come into the office to pour through hard copies of items.
Well, but that's what I said. I can send we have a hard copy. It's about 3 or 4 pages of our investment policy that we have rewritten. That what Dave presented was a PowerPoint, which would be a digital copy of it.
Amanda, I think Kathleen's referring to the town's investment policy, not our investment policy as trustees of trust funds.
No,
Right.
it was the presentation that Dave gave about accepting donations, even small
Right.
donations. As some of you know, the playground was thought to be a cash donation that turned out to be a finished playground, and we really had nothing to any baseline to follow. We didn't know quite how we're going to handle this. So we ended the public hearing because there was nothing to accept. Just to get ahead of some of these conversations that go on Facebook now, and there's a new Facebook group just for people to complain about. So it seems. I'm hesitant to join, but maybe Lisa will, and
I've already joined.
Okay, I can tap her for the information. This is one thing that truly bothers me: misinformation. As we see in our whole world now, how it just takes over the conversation. That to have something in writing that you can turn and say, here you go. This is how we're doing things. This is just my personal thought. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. I could make it as a select board item.
I've got to go.
Okay, well, bye, Dave.
So,
At our meeting then on Monday, I will, when we're finished Scribner stuff, I will just kind of butt in and say something about if Eli would put the Dave's PowerPoint. Where does he want to put it?
see, right now in the office, we have binders that have policies and.
But the PowerPoint is digital. Does he want it printed
That's the
out?
whole point, Amanda. I said it needs to be a written document.
Oh, well, then we have a trustee, we have a trust. See, Walter, I think that's what she wants. She wants our investment policy.
Yeah. No,
You want the trustees of the trust funds investment policy as well as David's PowerPoint? Is that right,
oh, the
Kathleen?
PowerPoint, what am I going to do with it?
Well, see, that's
Well, you
what I
can-
said exactly. What are you going to do with it? But we have a written out policy.
Written policy,
3 or 4 pages long.
yeah, but has it been formally given to the town?
No, but it has been sent to the Attorney General's office, but we could
Okay.
formally give it to the town.
And
We can,
that's what I'm getting to. So we have something in the office. So if
want
I
it.
wanted to read it, I could go to the office and read it.
well, then what I can do is I can formally send it in an email to Charlie and to all of you.
And ask, could this be included as an adjunct to the town's investment policy?
There we go. Okay, we got that. I'm writing this out.
Okay.
Okay, so let's put that in the minutes so that we're all set on this. So we have a proposal to, for me to send the trustees of the trust funds investment policy to the Board of Selectmen and ask them to put it, to file it with the town's investment policy.
That sounds good.
Okay.
What do you think, Walter?
Oh, it should be available for public inspection
Yeah.
along with all town policies
Mhm.
Yes.
For public inspection. Do I have a second?
for public and employees and whoever else.
Do I have a second?
We still need that paper.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, very good. Any discussion? Okay, do a roll call. Lisa Rollins,
Yes.
Walter Durack,
Aye.
and Amanda Lau votes in the affirmative, and we have a quorum, being 3, and it has passed, and I will do that.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. I just wanted that in the minutes.
Just going forward, because
Yes.
as we discovered, a lot of things happen from the time someone might leave a bequest to the town to how it is valid or handled 20, 30, 40 years later.
Yes, I agree.
And, you know, we don't want to have to see, well, I probably won't be here, but to have to see praise some of these things if
Yeah.
it can be handled in a more forthright or
Expedient manner.
yeah, or even, you know, more questions asked.
Right.
Instead of like, sure, yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah. Okay, well, then I think we are all done. I'll
Thank
see everybody at 5:15 on Thursday.
Thank you for letting me opine.
30. Oh, you're welcome. And we'll get the minutes approved and signed up so Walter can work on this next week.
Great.
And I'll-
Okay.
And
Are we
I'll be
gonna have
talking to you,
another-
Lisa.
I'm sorry.
I said, I'll be talking to you, Lisa.
I've been busy. So we got the meeting 5:15 on Thursday. We have, what time is the select board meeting? We're meeting with the select board on next Monday.
5:30.
That's the 5:30 on the 19th.
Yeah. And then our next meeting
And then our next meeting
is the
would be
second,
November
November 9th.
November 9th.
Is that Veterans Day?
No, Veterans Day is always the 11th.
It's the 11th,
Oh.
yes. Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
okay.
And I don't know what we'll do on the 9th. Probably just have a pretty, our meetings are probably going to be getting pretty short.
Good. I like short.
Doesn't bother me any. Okay, very good. Then I declare that the meeting is done. I don't need a vote for that. And
Okay,